All right, hi everybody. I'm Katye Anna, and I describe myself as a teacher of soul. And for over, 65 now, just for over 25 years I've been teaching about the soul and chakras and just basically love. And so today I was asked to speak about, what is it again, Lloyd?
Living from the heart.
Living from the heart. So I share a steady stream of consciousness with a group of 976 plus souls, known to me as Anna. And they've been a part of my consciousness for at least 18 years that I'm aware of. But I always knew them as just part of my higher self. And I've been a dreamer consciously for about 20 years now, which means I go out in dreamland, and when I wake up, I have the information. All my books are written when I wake up. My classes are all written right after I wake up. And about 5 months ago, I woke up, and they said, have a retreat, living from the heart, the way of the heart, and have it in Sedona, Arizona. I don't know about any of you, but when the world of spirit speaks to me, I listen. How many of you are aware that you get messages from something outside of yourself? Intuition. We call it intuition. You know, from the world of soul, from spirit. You know, and for me, I have learned through the years that when I listen to these messages, man, life takes on a whole new meaning. So, I have a couple questions before I introduce Anna. I have a couple questions for those of you who are here. And those of you who are listening on Facebook. How many of you have had someone you love birth into spirit? Put your hand up. Birth into spirit means physically die. You know somebody that you love has physically died. So, everybody here. Okay. How many of you have ever been angry with somebody? Yeah? How many of you have experienced sadness? Everybody? Disappointment? How many of you have experienced heartache? Okay. And how many of you have been told that when you were born and you grew up knowing that you were an incarnated soul? None of you. How many of you were told that you have the creative spark of God within you? You know that? Did you know that growing up?
I did.
Wonderful. Okay. So, did you know growing up that you created your world?
In what sense?
That everything that's happening to you, everything that's in your nice little box of experiences, you have invited in one way or another.
I don't think I did it.
Okay? How about over here? Do you believe that you have created your world and that everything you're experiencing, you have invited in? Anybody? You
I
believe?
do now.
Say what?
I do now.
You do now, but you
I
didn't.
wasn't
You
raised
didn't
that
as
way.
you and me too. I had what they call well, it was a nervous breakdown when I was 38 years old. But I now know it was a soul realignment, and a soul realignment comes to us when our lives kind of are going into pathways that are so far out from the plan of the soul that we're not going to bring in the work that the soul came here to do. And I was born to be a teacher soul. I don't have any doubt of that. And my work is all about helping my students and anyone who will listen to me remember that love is the way. Now, through our lives, there's questions I asked you earlier. That sadness, that disappointment, that heartache begins to literally chip away at our hearts. And we begin to close down. We begin to close down and close off parts of ourselves, thinking we're protecting ourselves from sadness. After my husband, Alan, died 2 years and about 5 months ago, people would say to me, oh, you may never get over this because you two loved each other so deeply. God, that drove me crazy. Because loving someone has very little to do with how you grieve. Loving someone has very little to do with how you grieve. But all these fragmented parts of our hearts that we've experienced throughout life has a lot to do with how you deal, how you go on with life after someone you've loved, whether it's a child or a parent, whoever it is, bursts into spirit. And so these fragmented parts of ourselves, what do you think happens to that sadness, grief, disappointment, despair, heartache as you go through your life? What did you do with it?
Buried it.
Buried it? Stuffed it? Stuffed it? So what kind of effect do you think that has on your life? Yeah, we're walking around fragmented human beings. You know, I keep teaching my students that our responsibility, our job, is to ground more of our soul onto this planet. And a lot of the crap that's going on in this planet, and I mean the whole planet, is because we're not aligning ourselves with love. I teach the 3 spiritual keys. They were given to me by Anna. All right, you want to, okay. Let me switch here and just, again, Anna is a group of 976 souls, and when they started speaking through me, it was a shock to me too that I would do this. I'm sure when my parents gave birth to me, they did not think that someday their daughter would be sharing a steady stream of consciousness with a group of 976 souls known as Anna. So I'm just going to switch here a minute and merge with them. All right, so as Katie was saying, we are Anna. We're a group of 976 souls, and we say plus because we don't want to confuse all of your personalities. Now, Katie was talking about the 3 spiritual keys. Convergent love. Converging in love means if the experience is not in alignment with love, you don't put your energy to it. You move away from it. But how many of you, when something gets going in your world and you invite it in, are you always living in converging in love? Because if your buttons are pushed, if you're reacting to something, you're not converging in love. When you're in reactive mode, it's usually because something has been pushed within you, and that has to do with those things that Katie talked about, the sadness, the grief. That's true. Katie didn't even mention fear. How many of you have experienced something to be afraid of in this life? All right, most of you. So as Katie was saying, what do you do with all that? Well, you walk around as fragmented beings. And you put these experiences in these little boxes. And over time, these experiences begin to create distortions in the way your energy flows. Now, you look at each other and you see physical beings, right? You see physical bodies. You see a chair, you see a table, you see a wall, you see a human being. Is this not because you have made these agreements that this is so? Right? When you were little, you made these agreements. That a chair is a chair, and a boy is a boy, and a girl is a girl, and blue is blue, and yellow is yellow. You made these agreements. When you were little, did anyone teach you basically about the way of love? Now, you may have gone to a religion, been educated religiously. How many of you grew up within, what do you call it, a certain dogma, a certain religion, as children? So most of you? No, not you? All right. Were you raised with spiritual principles?
No, I seek it out on my own. I felt like I needed to seek it out on my own.
So you had to learn this as an adult?
No, as a child.
As a child, all right. So would you say that you were able to connect with the world of spirit in a different way than those around you? All children connect. If you look at the child when they're little, before they make all the agreements, by around age 6, 7, children have made certain agreements as to what is real and what is acceptable. And so even by the age of 6, children start putting in these little boxes the sadness that they feel. Do you know that the very first time a child experiences something that is not in alignment with love, that's when they start to shapeshift? How many of you believe that you're as authentic as you can be? What you see is what you get. In other words, you don't wear all the different masks. You show up as the same person in every situation. No, of course not, because as children you learn how to fit in to perform. And you're still doing this. So when we speak about the way of the heart, what happens with all these fragmented parts is you disassociate, you leave the experience because it's not in alignment with love. This is what the child does. And so the child learns how to, you can use another word for it, shapeshift. And you move in and out. Well, when you do this, you take soul essence away from the physical life. And so the child will come back after the experience, but the soul essence doesn't. And so you have all of these fragmented beings walking around the planet. So the way back into love is culling these parts of self back. Now, how do you do that? How do you call these parts of yourself back when, for the most part, you don't even know they're missing, right? Because you wake up every day and you think, this is who I am, this is who I was created to be. Now, what Katie's doing and talking with us is not anything unusual, and yet you weren't given that permission, right? So you see a lot of people who connect with the world of spirit as having something you don't. It's just a different muscle they have learned to use. You call them mediums, you call them many different names, but in truth, you're all connected to the world of spirit. So we would like to ask you, how many of you woke up today and invited your soul to join you in your journey today? None of you, all right? How many of you started your morning by talking to your heart? You did? What did you say to your heart this morning?
That it will be open to
You're
all.
asking it to be open. Open to what?
To receive whatever I'm meant to receive today and not try to control it, but just allow the flow in.
All right. Now, well, that could be a slippery slope. Did you hear what she said? She asked her heart to be open today to receive whatever you're supposed to learn, right? Whatever's supposed to come your way. What if a bulldozer is going to come your way and plow you over? What we're saying is the universe works to match what you're asking it. How many of you believe that? That the universe, there is a universal force that hears what you're putting out there and realigns itself for you. And you, every one of you all believe that. Well, yes, no, like it, yes. All right. So, how many of do you think are clear with what you're asking for? Like you said, let my heart be open on this day.
It
But
wasn't clear and very specific.
you want very clear and specific, exactly. And this is why many of you get a hodgepodge of experiences. Because you're not clear with what you want. Because when you were little, when you were so little, and you had that wonderment and that amazing, children are born believing in love and knowing only love. Every one of you were born knowing only love. It's the experiences. Murderers are not born. Terrorists, mean people, nasty bullies, they're not born. They're created. And they're this way because their hearts are fragmented. They're wounded. And you yourselves are wounded. And so this is one of the reasons we seek to teach you. Because it's in calling back these parts of yourself, these fragmented parts. And so when you wake up and you say, may I be open, that's very good when you talk to your heart. But you want to be open to what? Remember, you invite everything into your lives, right? Nothing can happen in your world that you haven't invited into it. And you all live in very limited little boxes, do you not? You think your life is grand and big, but actually most human beings, and we don't want to sound like we're shaming or blaming or anything like that, but most human beings are very complacent. We were too. When we were in physical forms, you become very complacent. You become lazy about what you're creating because you don't even know you can create. And so you've forgotten how to use the gifts, the innate gifts within you. Now, one of the ways the world of spirit, as Katye always says when she teaches students, she never seeks to open up the third eye, the clear seeing. It's in opening up the heart that you can connect with the world of spirit. The heart is how your soul speaks to you. The heart, did you ever wonder why those who are grieving, they say, well, Uncle Sam doesn't communicate with me. My husband didn't see him since he died. Well, when your heart is fragmented, when someone bursts into spirit, you recognize that there's a rip in the fabric of your being, right? This fabric, this tear, will heal if you, the personality, allow it to. These fragmented hearts, this is something we would tell you all to do. Do it now. Put your hands here to your heart. Just put them there. And then lift it out and see or imagine your heart right in your hands. And have a dialogue with your heart and ask it, what is it that you want to tell me? You would be surprised when you're sitting at home in your room, what your heart has to say to you. Have a dialogue every day with your heart. Literally. Ask it, what do I need to heal so that I may feel alive again? And have this dialogue every day. And don't forget to put it back in. But seriously, have this dialogue with your heart every day. How many of you take time, again, to communicate with each other, with other human beings? Really take time, because communication is one of the gifts you have here on this planet. Now, we would say that words and language often get in the way, does it not? Language gets in the way. And also, your fragmented parts gets in the way. The world of spirit, we, this group as Katye calls Anna, would not be able to speak to you in this manner without using her voice box. We do not have voice boxes in the higher planes of consciousness. We speak through what you call telepathy. We speak a different way, but we definitely communicate. How many of you as children learned to communicate in that way? Do you remember as children having angels around you? Some of you, yes? How many of you, any of you remember having an imaginary friend? You all did. And then when your parents heard you talking about them, they didn't see them. Again, as incarnated beings, you were born connected to the world of spirit. With the three keys, when we say we can only succeed together, the world of spirit can only help the world of man if the world of man welcomes the world of spirit in. Did you know that? This is a plane of consciousness. The earth planes of consciousness is a plane where you have to invite the world of spirit to help you. You all have angels and guides. Now, we know that many different, we're speaking to a group of people here who may know angels, but in every culture and everywhere across the globe, there are light beings known to everyone. So call them light beings. Whatever, again, the words, the semantics. Don't let, like Katye will do a group and people will say, I don't like to use the term God, because God has many different connotations for people. Whatever words work with you to connect with this world of spirit and to open up these hearts of yours, Because it is the way of the heart. If you want to change your planet, start with yourself. You cannot send forth a beacon of light. Did you ever see a lighthouse and that big beacon of light that goes out? What happens when, the light bulb gets old and it's starting to run out of juice? The light is not as bright, and eventually, yes, you're like the lighthouse. You're functioning on just a little percentage of the light that you truly are. We want you to hear that again. You're functioning on a very limited amount of the light that you're capable of emanating within you, because of the wounded heart, because of the fragmented selves. And so, when you begin, as we said, to begin this dialogue with your heart is one way. Inviting the world of angels, the world of spirits into your lives. Going out and hugging a tree. When's the last time? Maybe in this crowd you do it, but we know a lot of people don't do it. When's the last time you hugged a tree? The trees are in this with you, are they not? Everything that you created here on this planet that you see is physical. Someone created it. You do know that. That everything that you see is physical. Someone created it, and you agreed that it's real. Those trees, if you could see, are not just standing there in one solid ground. You see them as stationary, do you not? But you do not see your own lives as stationary. We're going to say that one again. We can see by your energy fields. You see these trees, and you have been taught that they're stationary, that they're rooted in the ground and they're not moving around. And because you have feet, or you have chariots or wheelchairs or whatever you're walking around in, moving around in, you see yourselves as moving. What if you changed your perception of what reality is? What if you decided that you're not going to accept the things that are not in alignment with love? And every day, that's where you put your energy. Because you have healed those parts of your heart where you say, you can call bullshit, bullshit. Again, nothing comes into your world without your agreeing to allow it to come in. But because your hearts are so fractured, you're not emanating. You're not able to be that beacon of light that you each came here to do. The earth, many would call her the mother, has gone through many shifts. And the earth and humanity is going through another cycle. You can be pulled in. You can be sucked into the drama, to the chaos, to that which is out of alignment. Or you can remember that you're the creative force in your life, and you do not have to participate in anything that is not in alignment with love. Now, one thing that your teachers taught you, don't get us on the teachers again. All right. We have some teachers in here. Many teachers in here. Well, that's true. Excuse us, we're having a moment. One of the reasons we have many teachers in here, and we talk about teachers, is because we contributed to the vibrational signature of what you call teaching here on earth and in schools. How many of you learned about the 7 planes of consciousness in school? None of you. All right, well, we'll keep it to the United States. If you want to experience second plane consciousness, go to Washington, D.C. This is where the dogma, the fitting in the box, the rules and regulations, that's second plane consciousness. Those people want to belong to a group. They need to belong to a group. How many of you want to belong? Oh, come on. You may not think you do, but everyone wants to have connection. Every one of you. If you're in a physical body, you're hardwired to connect. You want to connect. Your heart wants to connect. But again, because these hearts are pulled in, you've given up the way of love. Basically, you've given up. Those of you who are on this planet during this time, if you're in a group like this, you're not living entirely in second plane consciousness. Most of you who come to an event like this, most of you who even listen to us, are waking up. And you're emanating between third and fourth plane consciousness, where you know that love is the guiding force. You know it. You have a concept of it. You know that these lives that you're living you're almost trapped. All right? And so if you come to something like this, you're trying to find your way out of the loop. We call it the loop. But we also call it the bridge to nowhere. You know what the bridge to nowhere is? Getting up every day and doing the same thing over and over again. That's the loop. You're caught in this loop. It's an energetic loop. How do you get out of any loop? How do you get off of the bridge to nowhere? Jump. Well, we would tell you, but human beings are not very good at jumping because they want to make sure that there's a safety net there, that something is going to catch them. But for all of you who have jumped, have you not experienced the safety net? Maybe temporarily things will seem chaotic. We know that when you change, when you get out of a loop, it takes a lot of energy and strength, and you cannot do it alone. To get out of these loops, especially as we talk about second plane consciousness. How many of you are tired right now, especially in the United States? You're feeling extra perhaps anxiety, sadness. This is because of the energy. But we're here to tell you, we don't want to make this one about the Donald, but you all created the Donald. You invited the Donald into your world. Are you liking it so far, what you created? Because you all have these agreements. Remember, nothing can enter into your experience unless you invite it in. You've invited the Donald in. How many of you want to sit down to tea? We would love to go to Washington and talk to the Donald. Perhaps Congress would invite us someday, right? Probably not. But anyway, the second plane consciousness, you're moving away from that. There's a part of you that is waking up. You're feeling the nudges. How many of you have wanted to leave a job, but because of the golden handcuffs, you stayed? Does everyone know what the golden handcuffs are? It means you're attached to the money. Or because you have a strong prostitute. Did you know you all have a prostitute? You're looking, I'm not a prostitute. Well, a prostitute is how you negate the power of your soul for something. For money, for love, for approval. How? Now, when we ask you, you have a prostitute. Have you experienced the prostitute energy in your life? How have you prostituted your life? What have you given up your power to? The Donald, or no one. No one can take your power unless you allow them to do so. And again, because you're living with these fragmented hearts, you don't understand the amazingness of who you are, who you were born to be. When you begin to pay attention to these keys, convergent love, just think about it. If you didn't put energy into something that was not in alignment with love, what do you think would happen to it? We're not telling you to put a bag over your head, because human beings have done that for eons. It didn't work very well for many different lifetimes. You are all aware, perhaps, of the Jewish people and their Hitler. Remember, there's a core soul contract. I will be that which you have asked me to be. So you can be that which you need to be. May we seek to do this on earth in love. What are you being asked to do at this time in your life? It's not to put the bags over your head and pretend that there is not things that are out of alignment. But when you put your energy into that, when you shout and scream and bemoan about it, you do not change anything on the earth planes of consciousness. You actually feed it. You actually feed that which you're objecting to. When you take your energy into it. You weren't taught in school about energy, were you? You weren't taught about where you put your thoughts, where you put your emotions. That feeds the very thing that you want to change. How do you change something? When you see something that's out of alignment, you go, well, that's not working in my life. I am not going to invite that in. You move out of it. We like to use the swimmer. What happens to a swimmer who's in a riptide and they're trying to swim to shore?
And they swim sideways to get out of it.
Well, but what happens if they don't go sideways? If they keep trying to swim towards shore, they eventually get tired and they get pulled under. And this is what has happened through thousands and thousands of lifetimes for human beings. You have gotten tired. You have gotten complacent. You have forgotten that this world is one of your creation. And so when you see something that's not in alignment, you don't go to it. You move the energy away from it. You move the energy away from it. And from that, you create the experience you want to have. How many of you believe, what century are you in? 21st. The 21st, right? The 21st, we're not very good with numbers. The 21st century, how many of you believe that you can live on this planet and share it with all in love and peace and joy? And that you can have a planet where everyone is fed, and everyone is clothed, and everyone has the right to stand up and be seen and be heard, no matter what the differences are. Do you believe that? Do you want that is the question. Then what are you doing to create it? What are you doing every day when you get up that you're not pulled into the second plane consciousness? Or unconsciousness, we should say. Because in that plane of consciousness, they're robots. How many of you have experienced in your own life being a robot? Again, getting up and doing that, getting in that loop. To change something, you have to move out of the energy. If you want to change, if you see a situation that's not in alignment, you want to change it, you don't move into it, you move away from it, and you put your energy into creating something that's in alignment with love. Now, we couldn't talk about living from the heart without talking about the throat chakra. This is probably one of the things that have torn you apart on earth. Using the throat, the voice, to speak in ways that are harming others. You have to use the throat chakra, your voice, to empower, to uplift, to encourage, to motivate. If it doesn't do those things, guess what? Keep your mouth shut. How many of you have ever practiced silence at any, like for a day? Yes? What's the longest? Katie actually did five days. What's the longest any of you ever did in silence?
24 hours.
24 hours? Pretty good. Did you like it?
Yes.
Did you feel Well, we'll ask you, what did you feel after 24 hours of silence? And usually when you're practicing silence, you're not watching the telly and listening to the news, and you're not getting all excited, and you're not getting pulled into second plane consciousness, right? Usually you take yourself away from the chaos of the outer world. So what do you feel after 24 hours of silence?
Relax.
Relax, all right? What would happen in your schools if students learn from little grown up, from kindergarten? Those recess breaks are great. But what about breaks to learn to be silent? To sit there and talk to their hearts, to their guides, to ask for that guidance from the world of spirit. So that when you grow up as adults, how many of you walked out of the house without underpants on today? Some of you do, we know. But for the most part, many of you put on new underwear. You wouldn't wear it for 10 days straight, right? No, none of you would do that. And yet, many of you don't take time to talk to your heart, to talk to a stranger, to hug a tree. Again, you made an agreement that those trees are not as important as the person sitting next to you, or that animal, or that plant life, or that rock, or that crystal. Again, you see this as a solid thing. It is not. You've made an agreement. Now, we're not saying that it's easy to change these agreements. And what's the youngest one here? Probably over here.
27.
27? And who would be the oldest? Katie's 65. Anyone over 65? I mean, Katie's the oldest one in the room. All right, anyone 60? All right. So for 60 years, you walked around with these imprints and patterns. Well, for 28 years. So it's not going to happen that tomorrow you're going to wake up and all of a sudden go, I'm the creative force in my life. Today I'm going to create a planet full of love. But it's the beginning, is it not? If you would learn to take, we call them Zen breaks, during your day, and catch your breath and ask yourself, am I in alignment with love? Or am I prostituting myself? Many of you go to these jobs. How many of you love what you're doing as a job, where you're getting your money? Two? Two of you. Three, a little iffy. Why are you, the rest of you? Why are you not doing something different? Well, you have the golden handcuffs. You have the responsibility. You were taught that the responsible thing to do. What about the loving thing to do? Love begins with yourself. Love begins in looking in the mirror and saying, I see you and I love you. And today, we're going to create experiences of love, joy, peace. That's what I'm going to allow into my box. Now, here's that box again. How many of you are aware that you're in a box? That your life is very contained? Yeah? Creator doesn't create the boxes, right? They're man-made. The boxes that you're in are man-made. They're not from the world of spirit. What would it be like again? To begin to understand that you are the creative force in your life, and that you and those trees and everything that you see is expanding the consciousness of Creator, the source, that through you, the Creator is experiencing consciousness. And we would ask each one of you, what kind of experience are you giving the source? What kind of experience? How are we doing, Lloyd?
We've got 15 minutes yet.
All right, do we have questions? Well, we'll keep talking. Yes,
So you say we need to stay away from the negative, only go towards the love and positive energy, just leave the negative over there. What if we feel that we want to help people that are in the negative energy?
you cannot save anyone. Did you ever see someone drowning? And you think, well, I'm going to help them, and you jump in? What's the drowning person doing? Fighting for their life, right? They intend you no harm, but all they know is they're drowning. So usually what happens is you get pulled in. And so when you, as you said, how do you want to save someone? You see something is not in alignment, and they're pulled. That's called unconsciousness. All you can do, and this is why we're talking about coming from the heart, is that when you can emanate more light, then those that are in the shadow experiences, learning the hard way. Learning the hard way is the way human beings have done for thousands upon thousands of years. We're here to tell you, you don't have to learn the hard way. You can learn the same lessons by joy and love as you can the hard way. You know, you have this belief that you have to teach through the shadow and the light, the yin and the yang, right? Where did you get that belief?
Chinese.
You agreed to it, some Chinese medicine. But you agreed to it somewhere, did you not? That you have to learn through the opposite. You teach a child about empowerment by taking them around people that are empowered. You teach a child about love by taking them into experiences that are loving. You don't have to teach a child about hate. So a lot of you say, we want to teach you about love, so then you use an example of hate to teach about love. What's that about? Can you understand that you cannot teach about love by jumping into the experience of hate or anger? You just simply can't. And so when you say, what if we want to create change? You've heard it before by many teachers, be the change you seek to experience. Again, the more of you that wake up and begin to say, I will not allow this in my life anymore, this hatred. I will not participate in this. So you go over here and you create the experiences. So if you see someone that is being bullied, you don't, of course, stand by and just go, well, that person's being bullied. But many of you, you put the bags over your head and you look the other way. That's why it's gotten so bad. Because of the lifetimes of all of us looking the other way. Right now, on the earth planes of consciousness, is a time for divine inspired action. So when you see a cause, when you see that there's a group of people being persecuted against, you go over here and you create an experience which we'll call them a safe haven, you call it. But you don't go into the shadow. Nothing gets transformed in the shadow. Nothing. What happens in the shadows is you get sucked. It's like quicksand. You just get sucked in. And the more you struggle to get out, what happens in quicksand? You sink, right? This is why those of you on the planet are in this loop. The more you struggle with what's over here, you just stay in that loop. When you get out of the loop and you go over here, you create the experience. Yesterday we were talking to a group of people that were here, and a gentleman said, we were talking about soul parenting, and a gentleman said, well, my children are getting a fine education. They even have yoga at our school. And we asked him, well, let's see, you're an hour or so away from Baltimore. How about if you exchange your children's education for the children in inner city Baltimore? And of course he said, well, no, but those children could come out to our world, to our school. So what we said is, like, if the school system is something you're passionate about, you don't go over here and bemoan what's wrong with it. You go over here and create what's right with it. Are you getting what I'm saying? You don't go into it over over here. Because you're wasting energy. You're going to get pulled in. You're going to waste all this energy. Some things get changed, but it doesn't last. Do you realize that those of you on earth are still fighting the very first war? You're fighting the very first war, the very first time it was out of alignment, and you repeated it. You know, many years ago, Katye said there was a movie, Groundhog Day. How many of you know it? Katye hated it. She wanted to leave the movie theater because that was her life. She was getting up, living the same thing over and over again. Like many of you. When you get out of that, you go over here and you make a decision. Today, I wake up. I know. Every day is a brand new day. You do know that, right? It's not a continuation of yesterday, but you see it as such. Right? You look around and you see the same walls. We suggest that you change something. When you go to bed at night, how many of you have sleeping chambers? All right. So a sleeping chamber has no electronics in it. Good. How many over here? No electronics in, you call it your bedroom. And you go into this chamber to sleep because while you're sleeping, this is when you travel. When your essence travels to the world of spirit and you're taught. And then you come back in the morning, and your job as the incarnated being is to ground that. But you open your eyes, you look around, and you go on to creating basically the same day you did the day before. So before you go to bed, make sure that you go, when you go to bed and to go to sleep, make sure that you have turned off the telly and those things that excite you. And go to sleep in a mind field that is peaceful, calm. Use the breath. Invite your soul, invite the world of spirit. Again, when we talk about living from the heart, living from the heart implies the way of love. Now, many of you have experienced love, right? We're telling you to throw away everything you think you know about love. Why is this? So you can create something different. Because what you think you know about love is an emotional love. That's where you learn about love. It's an emotional experience. We're telling you to come up here to the heart and begin to learn agape love, unconditional love. This is the way of future. These children that are being born, many of them are called autistic, they're higher centering children. Many of these children coming in are higher centering. You were all higher centering when you were born. You have the ability to talk to the world of spirit. You still have that ability. You still have that ability. It's just a muscle you haven't used because you're so busy repeating what you did yesterday to create something new. We want to encourage each and every one of you to begin to remember, to give yourself back to love. What would it be like to give yourself back to love? To know that you're here on this planet at this time to help remember that the way, the only way, is love. You, each one of you, you are a being of love, as is the donor, and as all those over in other parts of the world, of our neighborhood. We say again, the vibration of hate, whether someone has a bomb, or a gun, or a voice, is the same. The vibration of hate is the vibration of hate. It doesn't matter what the act looks like. All right? And so catch yourself. We teach catch and release. When you find that you're out of alignment, that you've gotten pulled into something that's not in alignment with love, that's a time as soon as you can to stop, to catch it, and go, whoop, this is not in alignment with love. That's when you use the breath. Even putting your hands here and taking a few deep breaths, or simply saying, all right, I have to ground. Well, go hug one of those trees. But do something. Do something to bring yourself back. Again, give yourself to love. It will heal everything. We know that many that hear our words say, this is so airy-fairy. But it's not. You're here at a place like this because whether you know it or not, you are a dreamer. Are you dreaming in the dreams of your soul is the question. Your soul had a plan for you. And you're here during this time of the shift, known as many as the shift, to bring your piece of the puzzle. What if your piece of the puzzle was all that it took to change the whole planet? What if you showing up as the beacon of light you were created to be is the very thing that will ignite the whole planet to change? All right. We thank you for this opportunity. We're going to flip back. I wish all of you could feel the love they had for us. We're not in this alone. Look around the room. You may not know these people, but you're not in this alone. And we have so much help. I heard them talking about the trees. Those trees support us here on this planet. When's the last time you thanked a tree for helping with the oxygen, the breath? When's the last time you planted a tree? You know, and all I want to say is, you know, for myself, the more and more that I align myself with love, the more I'm experiencing love, that it comes to me. And I heard them say something. What if, and I get the importance of this, what if by changing your life, that's the very thing that just starts the spiral going to set us all free, to help us all remember, I will be that which you asked me to be, so you can be that which you need to be. May we seek to do this on earth in love. We have a table upstairs if you'd like to come up and talk. I'm giving a retreat. As I said, I woke up one morning and they said, have a retreat in Sedona, Arizona. All right, we'll have a retreat in Sedona, Arizona. I've learned many years ago when the World Spirit speaks to me to listen. So for all of you, maybe you don't get have a retreat in Sedona, Arizona, but I know you're all getting nudged. Listen to those nudges. The way you strengthen communication with the World Spirit is to act on that communication. Every time you act in alignment with love, when you receive that information, it strengthens it. All right? Anything else? Oh, you brought flyers. There you go. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.